What's up, YouTube? Back with another video, and today I'm gonna go over my defensive settings that I use here on 2K23 and kind of like my strategy and why I use these settings. And I will be making another video going over actual in-game clips of these defensive possessions, but in this one I'm gonna just talk about the settings and why I use them, and I'm gonna show one gameplay clip of kind of everything working together all at once in one defensive possession. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That being said, let's get into it. So if you didn't know, if you play now online, you can save your defensive settings. Just go into a quick game, do your settings, and then when you go online, all your settings will be there. So I'm gonna just start up a quick game against the CPU. I always put at least one historic team because the historic teams don't have intros, so it just goes straight into the game and I can pause and go into the defensive settings. So over there on the right is like a quick overview of all my settings. I'm not gonna go through every single thing. I'm gonna go over like most of the important stuff, but 99% of the people that I'll be playing against, they either gonna run pick and roll or they just gonna run in circles and try to dunk. And these settings I feel like help me the most with dealing with that. Now, with that being said, no matter how good or bad somebody is, they're still gonna score on you. You know, it's 2K. Like, you're gonna get scored on. People gonna make lucky shots. They gonna make shots they're not really supposed to make. You're not gonna get stops that you really deserve. Your AI defenders still do dumb stuff. At the end of the day, it is 2K. So these settings will help, but at some point, you're gonna have to take things into your own hands, which I'll talk about in the next video when I'm going over actual game clips, and you'll see me doing certain things. And these settings, they just help me get stops. Like, if you see my gameplays, I don't get a lot of steals. I don't force a lot of turnovers, but I do get stops, especially timely stops. Like I said, people gonna go score on you no matter how bad they are. But I usually get enough stops and I'm able to limit certain things and just play the long game and eventually win. And a lot of times win by a lot just by sticking with it. I know I don't normally generate big leads in the first quarter. I just win every quarter by a few points. And like the way I see it, if I could win every quarter by 4 points by the end of the game, that's 16 points. That's a good convincing win. So now on to the settings. So starting with the on-ball pressure, I go tight. I play on-ball defense anyways, so like this don't matter that much. Like sometimes I'll guard a player tight, or sometimes I'll sag off, which would be like moderate or gap. So most people, they either run tight. You can also run smother if you have really good defenders. Oh, I would say tight or smother. One of those two are pretty good, but I'll go with tight. Off-ball pressure. Now this is where I'm different from a lot of people. Most people would go tight. Some people moderate. But I go gap, and I like gap because people ain't shooting the ball. Even off pick and roll, off ISO, they trying to get to the rim. So if I'm on gap, my players are in the driving lane, so I get a lot more bumps. Sometimes I get bump steals. I don't get as many as I feel like I should, but you just stop the progress of the ball handler a lot more effectively when you're on gap. So gap has been working pretty well for me. Now, it does say it will give significant space and it's too much room for good shooters, which is true. So if somebody has a really good shooter and they pass them the ball, they will shoot over the AI or shoot over you and they will green it if they have, you know, a decently quick release and some decent badges. But honestly, for most people I play against, this is something that I'm willing to deal with because, like I said, people ain't shooting the ball. And to some degree, it's just a numbers game. If 9 out of 10 times you get past me, you driving to the rim, I'm not going to care about that one time you passed it out and got that shot off my player in gap coverage. I'm going to still run it because, like I said, forcing people to do things they didn't want to do. They didn't want to make that pass out there in the first place. They just wanted to run to the rim and try to dunk. So by me stopping them doing that as a defense, like, you kind of live with that. But like I said, you do want to be careful. If there is somebody that's spraying you from 3, you could just go to that individual and put it on tight so that you don't leave them too much space. Force direction, I have baseline. I don't even think this really matters for real, to be honest with you. So for on-ball screens, I go over. Even though, like I said, people don't really shoot the ball, you would think I would go under, but I still prefer going over screens. Just because I don't really want to gift them the shot. Like, I feel like if you go under, you're basically kind of daring people to shoot. Like, if you dare them to shoot, they're like, they will shoot it, and they might make it, they might not. But I don't want them to get that opportunity. So I go over screens to discourage the shot and force them to drive. I want to force them into my other help defenders that are in that gap coverage so I could get those bumps or just make them do things that they didn't want to do. And I feel like go over pairs well with no hedge. Again, this is sounds crazy, right? No hedge historically is something that's very bad and it's something that you never wanted to do. But again, people ain't really shooting the ball. And like I said, in pick and roll situations, a lot of people are looking to get to the rim. So they come off that screen. Since I'm going over, a lot of times they don't get the three. But since I'm in no hedge, a lot of times they'll have that pull up mid range, but they never take that shot. And like in my videos or, you know, playbooks or just gameplays, when I go against off ballers, like when they don't hedge, even if they go over, I get to that mid range and I take those pull-up fading mids all day long. People do not take that shot, and you can see it right there in the negative. Tough to guard against the mid-range jump shot. Those shots are always open, but nobody takes them. So again, it's like I said, it's a numbers game a lot of the times. People, for the most part, they take the pick and they try to get to the rim and then either dunk it or pass off to the roll man. So when I do go over and no hedge, I'm giving up the mid-range, but since they're not taking it, a lot of the times they're boxed up. They have no other option. They gotta run out, maybe make a pass, and then try it again. And so you have a lot of situations where people are getting late in the clock in order to generate offense because that first option that they had is gone. So now they gotta just be doing random stuff. And it's like, yeah, a lot of times they still end up scoring, but if you're making people go deep into the clock every time up the court, over the long game, it's gonna work in your favor. And even though I have this on go over and no hedge, a lot of times throughout the game, this is situational. Depends on who you're playing against, depends on the players on the court, the defenders that you have, and all this type of stuff. So just because I have these settings like this, there are times where I would just manually go under the screen. There's times where I would manually hedge my center or not hedge my center. It's all situational and it depends. But for the most part, no hedge has been working. Especially like I used to use catch hedge. Catch hedge was good too. But I noticed that a lot of times the roll man will still get behind my center. And on no hedge, that happens a lot less often. So the next most important thing is stay attached. I put yes. I put stay attached yes because it stops and prevents unnecessary switching between like the guards and the center in pick and roll situations, and it's also good against pick and pop. So stay attached yes. Next post, I got it on behind, but honestly I don't even think this works. Like I used front and like they never fronted the post 3/4 top, but I don't even think this shit works. Off ball switch rules, I put it on switch guards. Most people don't run like guard to guard off ball screens anyway, so like this won't matter too much, but I still have it on switch guards. Pre-rotate, no. Screen help, drive help, cutter help, I put it on no help. And even though you have no help, your players will still help, just not as aggressively and not as dumb, to be honest. So if you have your help on, like especially the guys in the corner, they just completely overreact to everything. So you could turn that off, and if they still help too much, you can go into your coaching sliders and turn down help defense. You could turn it down to like about like 20, 30 or something like that. And so like they'll help, but only when you really need it. And seeing that my players are in gap coverage, they're in a lot better position to help. Whereas if they were on tight, they would just sprint out the corner or whatever, and you'll end up giving up a three. But since like the player is in gap, he's still there. He might be able to get a bump, but he still won't fully commit. He will still stay on his guy and still be able to get out to the shooters a lot of the time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Or like flare screen, about transition defense. I put this stuff on transition defense. You might want to ball up, no threes. I don't know. I just leave that on automatic. I feel like that doesn't, I don't know. I haven't really tested that out too much. I don't really give up too many like transition threes or dunks or anything to like want to change this. So I just put that on automatic. And yeah, that's pretty much it for like the important stuff. Everything else is like whatever. And so like I said, here's one defensive possession of basically like everything working together. So right here, he goes for a pick and roll. You see me going over the screen, But look at everybody else. Look at Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. This is the gap coverage. They're giving significant space to these guys in order to be in the driving gap. So Jrue Holiday, he can't just turn the corner and like just run straight to the rim. Also, you got Rob Williams in the no hedge down here. So he can't just get this screen and turn the corner and get to the rim. He's going to meet resistance by somebody. And me going over, he doesn't get this shot right here neither. Now, he can get this, like I said, he can get this midi right here, but most people don't take this shot. So I'm cool with giving it up. So he drives. He can't go all the way to the rim. Jaylen Brown's right here in the driving gap. And he can also get out to the shooter if he makes this pass. Robert Williams, he's in the no hedge drop coverage. So he's on Brook Lopez. He tries to throw up the lob and it's just completely boxed. He has nowhere to go, nothing to do. He has no play. And in the next video, I'm going to go over just straight gameplay clips of how I use these settings to like guard pick and roll, or just like people that just run in circles and try to dunk. I'm going to show some possessions where I did good, some where I personally messed up, some where I don't just let the settings do everything for me. I actually take matters into my own hands. And just even a couple clips of me just getting scored on. Because like I said, like these settings, they only take you so far. At the end of the day, it's still 2K. Pick and roll is still one of those things that's just, it's just so like easy to do. And it's so fast that like somebody can call like 3 pick and rolls in one possession. It's like you consistently stopping 3 pick and rolls every single possession is unrealistic. So like I said, it's all about playing the long game. Just getting enough stops for you to win the game. The game is too easy to score on. The defense isn't where it could be, so you'll still get scored on. But this is what I've been rocking with, and this is what helped me. So as always, I hope this helped you. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content.